Whenever I need a break from participating in comic book auctions, I can always count on Chuck. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up an order of comic books that I placed with Mile High Comics. And I was starting to think as far as which sources now are really maximizing my value and opportunity to really grow my collection and add some really nice pieces to it. I've been participating a lot in Infinity Comics auctions. They run auctions several times a week, and I feel like I'm always prepping and bidding for every auction just because I don't want to miss out. I feel like there's a lot of books that are getting into these auctions that I may never see again in terms of the condition, the quality, just the type of book. Maybe it's a variant of some sort. And I'll be honest, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of prep work. It's a lot of studying values. It's a lot of examining the comic book images and so forth. And then there's kind of my go-to, which is Mile High Comics. I love it for so many reasons. The main reason I love it is because most people don't love it. They really enjoy pointing out whether it's the old website, the difficulty to search the site, and obviously the quote-unquote mile-high prices. And the 60% off coupon came back into effect, and whenever that happens, that's kind of my window for buying. So with Mile High, I wait for those 60% coupons. That's when I make my purchases, and then when they go back to 50%, then I just wait. It's very rare that there's a comic book that I want while the 50% coupon is active that's not there when the coupon changes back to 60%. A lot of times I'll just make a list, I'll update my want list, and I'll just have books ready for purchase as soon as I get the newsletter alert that the 60% off coupon is back. Now, this order I don't want to say is inspired by a lot of the auction activity that I've been doing, but there are certain books that maybe I see at auction that I miss out on or I see other people bidding on, and instead of trying to get caught up in the heat of the moment of an auction, I can just kind of quietly go off to Mile High and make my purchases there. And there was one thing that I want to kind of point out before I open the order, and I didn't realize this, but it's been at least a year, if not close to 2 years now, where I can't select multiple copies in the dropdown when I'm purchasing books from Mile High. But there was a little bit of a way that I could work around it, which was essentially clicking on the add to cart multiple times. Now, the difficulty is when you go to edit your cart, if maybe let's say you've added 4 copies and you only wanted to buy 3, you only have the option to change it to 0 or 1. And so if you go to update the cart, sometimes it was zeroing out my cart and it was a little bit strange. So there were a few books that I tried to order multiple copies of, and I don't believe even all of them were processed. Some of them were backed down to one issue. I think there was one book where I was able to get multiples, but I noticed that I ordered multiple copies of 3 different books because I wanted to try this out. I do this with Mile High where I'll order almost like the same identical order multiple times because I'm trying to get multiple copies. And I just didn't realize that you could actually click the add to cart button more than once. So that was a learning lesson for me. I'm passing that along to you if you're interested in purchasing from them. But now it's time to get the order unpacked so that I can show you the comic books that I picked up from Mile High Comics. All right, here is the order sent via FedEx. You have the option when you're checking out from Mile High Comics to choose FedEx. It defaults to USPS. I always go in and choose FedEx. Never had an issue with them. Very straightforward process, very fast shipping. There is the option to add insurance, but I always pay the insurance and take advantage of free shipping for orders of $65 or more. So let me go ahead and get this opened up. All right, nice and easy. Let's take a look at the comic books that I picked up from Mile High Comics. The first book is Batman Adventures #1. And this is the first comic book that is based off of Batman the Animated Series. So if you're a fan of this style, you're a fan of the Batman Animated Series, this is the comic book that is based off of the animated series. And I'm just checking out the condition. Looks to be pretty good. And this is an example of a comic that is not necessarily a key, a minor key at best, but just has a lot of upside in terms of value. Mile High Comics, they are notorious for pricing or overpricing their books, but they also underprice, especially if you apply that coupon just from a raw value, fair market value perspective. These are really great to pick up with almost a guarantee of them being in high grade. And typically, the Mile High Comics conditions, they land somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9.2, maybe 9.4 on average, with the occasional 9.8 candidate mixed in, which is the next two books, because this was one where I did click twice, and Mile High Comics is my place to pick up this book. This is Vanguard Illustrated #2, cover art by Dave Stevens. Also the first appearance of the Stargrazers, but everybody buys this book, particularly for the Stevens cover art. I just unboxed a 9.8 graded by CGC not too long ago, and Mile High is where I picked it up. I did have to have the book pressed, but if you take a look at these, just in terms of the condition, like sharp corners, very few, if any, spine ticks. Again, sharp corners there, even in the bag and board, you can tell. So if these end up being 9.8 candidates or around the 9.4, 9.6, I may also get these pressed. A lot of upside in terms of value with those and collectability. There's always going to be fans of Stevens that are after those books. Here's another one, Invincible #115. This is cover art featuring Battle Beast. This was a book that I picked up from Mile High a while ago, and I was disappointed in the condition as it didn't quite grade out. And this has a lot of value in a 9.8. And I think I graded the one I bought as a 9.0. So this was like a little bit of a personal FOMO. I do this with myself where I'm disappointed with my own grade or my own process and end up ordering the book again from Mile High, almost determined somehow one way or another to get the book. And, you know, in terms of gambling, it's like sitting at that machine that keeps taking your money and you're just like, at some point it has to hit, right? And then it just keeps taking your money. That's exactly how I feel when I'm ordering books from Mile High Comics. But all joking aside, this looks to be a better copy, and you just can't look past a cover like this. So awesome cover art by Ryan Otley on this one. All right, next book up is Amazing Spider-Man #12. Now, the significance here, that there's always some sort of Spider-Verse character. It's almost like the same like Star Wars. There's always some Star Wars character or first appearance of a new character in every book. And when we're getting into the Spider-Verse, it is kind of that way. And I'm looking over the cover. Oh, there he is. So this is the first, what is it? First cover cameo appearance, because these are all of the Spider-Man heads mounted here on the wall. And I don't know if you have found him yet, get him in there, but it's the first cover cameo appearance of Spider-Punk. There he is. So if you're a Spider-Punk nut or nerd, this is the book for you. Pretty neat cover if you think of the Predator versus Wolverine modern cover that just came out with all of the Wolverine heads. Maybe this can be a new genre for you for collecting. But anyway, it's collectible because of the other character first appearances and the cover art appearance, or cameo cover appearance, I should say, of Spider-Punk. It's also the first appearance of Leopardon and the second cameo appearance of Web Slinger. But really, it's all about Spider-Punk up there in the top right there. All right. Next book is Hulk #4. This one is cool because it's part of a connecting cover, where I'll put this one over here so you can see the other book that I'll be after. This is the right-hand side variant. And this book is significant because it is the first battle of the Green Hulk versus the Red Hulk. And it's been a while, about 15, 16 years now. I won't spoil the Red Hulk for you, but it's pretty much out there who that is. But there it is, the right side of this variant. Just an awesome Ed McGuinness Hulk cover. And this was one book that I saw both the right and the left at auction and didn't win any, and wanted to go ahead and just pick it up directly from Mile High Comics. Next book is another one that's kind of a staple for my Mile High purchases recently, Daredevil number 28. And in this issue, Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, is elected mayor of New York City. And the rumor is in Daredevil Born Again that they're going to borrow from that storyline. Now, storylines that are pulled from the comics that are brought to live action, they're not always collectible. Right now, there's just some buzz around it, but it's definitely boosted the value of this comic, and Mile High has it always available for roughly around cover price, so I like picking it up there. And just looking at the condition, looks nice. I do have a 9.8 candidate that I picked up from them. This one does have a couple of ticks in here, hard to see, but right in there. So this could be a 9.4, 9.6 candidate, but it's just one of those I can't pass it up. All right, this one, Wonder Woman number 19, really awesome cover by George Perez. And there's Wonder Woman. She's always in some sort of trouble, I'll just put it that way. This book made some lists because of the character Cersei. This is her first appearance in the Copper Age, or first full story of the Copper Age Cersei. I'm not particularly up too much on this character, but there was some rumor that somebody was casted to voice Cersei in the Creature Commandos, an upcoming DC show or movie, I'm not sure. But anyway, I picked it up because I'm a Wonder Woman fan, and you just can't go wrong with the George Perez cover art and interior art as well. Just the detail, just Perez, just a legend, absolute master. Next one is Criminal, another book that I think I had always looked at from afar, but noticed that it was recently picked up by Amazon, like officially ordered for live action. And this came from the Marvel Icon line. I do see down here just a little bit of rounding here on the corner, and actually was quite surprised that it was available at Mile High Comics and quite affordable as well. A little bit of a color breaking tick there, but really not too bad. Probably in the 9.4-ish, 9.4, 9.6. Again, just trying to use my lessons learned from my CGC unboxings. Rounded corners, they're just going to really be tough on. So this one is probably not a 9.8 candidate. I might look to get another copy from them. But I've always enjoyed Ed Brubaker's books. I loved his run on Captain America, The Winter Soldier, the whole espionage. And I love going back and rereading those issues. And this is his creator-owned Criminal with Sean Phillips that is supposedly coming soon to Amazon. Well, soon. It could be a couple of years, but it was officially ordered. Next is Batman 609. This one, can't beat this Jim Lee cover. You got Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Batman here on the cover, with Jim Lee doing the entire Hush storyline. And this Batman 609 is the first appearance of Thomas Elliot, who's later revealed to be Hush. And there's speculation that Hush will be in The Batman 2, the sequel to The Batman, as there were some clues put out that Hush would be that character. I don't know if it'll be like the main villain or maybe a collection of characters or villains, not exactly sure. But regardless of any of that, Jim Lee Batman, first appearance of a major villain, and I couldn't pass it up. Looking at the condition on this, just checking the corners here, looks to be really, really nice all around. So I can't wait to take this out of the bag and board and officially grade it. Looks like a nice copy. All right, next is Adventure Comics number 432. And I love these like boxed, framed covers. This is cover art by Jim Aparo, 20-cent cover. And these are listed as near mint. And so what does a 20-cent cover near mint look like? And I think that it's not near mint. You can see quite a number of color breaks here along the spine right in there. There's a few more. So not near mint, 929 possibly. Corners are a little soft, but still sharp. I mean, extremely high grade, not complaining. But the problem that I have, and this happens to almost in the reverse, in your favor when you're bidding on books, is that because humans are grading these, you can't help but say, wow, this is in such great condition, this book from 1974, so I'm going to say it's near mint just because while it does have color breaks and other defects, it's so old. And so you end up kind of either overgrading or undergrading depending on what you want to do. And what I noticed with Mile High Comics is that when you buy these books in near mint, these are the books that typically get the 8.5 to 9. So just keep that in mind. It might make you want to consider maybe paying less and getting the VF copy if the near mint is already in that very fine plus VFNM range. So it's something I'll have to think about. And I would say a book in this condition, like from Infinity Comics, this might be one of those VF plus type of books that you'd bid on and you'd pay a lot less than what I paid to get that book from Mile High. So just something to think about. Oh, here we go. Bloodstone number 3. Yes, the darling of internet comic book speculators across all of the land. It always brings a smile to my face. I love picking up Bloodstone books. I'm trying to get all 4 issues. It's her first appearance and first solo series, and I'm just missing issue number 1. And that's the key book out of the series, and I now have issues 2, 3, and 4. If you remember Bloodstone appearing in Werewolf by Night on Disney Plus, she looked nothing like this. So this was more of a, well, let's just call it was her earlier character design before she went with kind of the orange hair monster hunter type of persona. But I love buying Bloodstone issues, especially from Mile High Comics. They're very affordable when you kick in the coupon, and it's almost like spite buying, where if we're still going to beat the drum that Bloodstone is going to be this major Marvel character in the comics and in live action, I mean, you can keep doing that, but it's almost just fun for me to do that. I'm looking at the corner here, little bit of blunting on the corner, so this could end up being a 9.6, but all 4 issues of the Bloodstone miniseries definitely still have some value, even if the value is inflated thanks to those speculators. The last book is Incredible Hulk 347, and this is an example of what I was talking about earlier, where I found this while the 50% off coupon was active, and I waited and I passed, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to risk it and see if it's still there. And this was the first book that I added to my cart when the 60% off coupon came back. This is the first appearance of Hulk's Joe Fixit persona. I recently finally got a copy of Wolverine 8, where it's got Wolverine as Patch and Hulk as Joe Fixit. Also has the first appearance of Marlo Chandler. She's the wife of Rick Jones and ends up becoming the character Harpy, or the second Harpy. But really nice copy here of Hulk 347. I don't really see much wrong with it. Again, just looking at the corner, that's kind of where I'm starting now, is if it has sharp corners in all 4 quadrants, then it has that potential to be a 9.8. So this one, it looks pretty good. It probably would need a little bit of a press to just get out the minor stacking crease. And then there's one color breaking tick right in there. It's hard to pick up, but it's right in the gray hairline. So could end up being a 9.8 candidate. We'll have to take a look at the back of the book and see. But those are the books that I picked up from Mile High Comics here in late January 2024, when I just needed a break from comic book auctions and wanted to see if I could pick up maybe books that I would end up bidding on, and I could just buy them outright here from Mile High. Some books that I've picked up before, so it's kind of like the buy what you know situation. And this is the perfect book right here, Vanguard Illustrated, Buy What You Know. I know Mile High has it. I'd like to buy it. And I feel like in general, all of these books, not just because they're in high grade, but they'll all be collectible for one reason or another, for their minor key significance, creators, and so forth. So I don't mind paying extra because I'm going to get these books in high grade because of the trust that I have in Mile High Comics. So now the question for me really is, where am I really maximizing value? Am I doing this through auctions and scrutinizing every book, or am I going to a trusted and true source where, it's still the condition mystery box for Mile High, but the condition mystery is not so much, is it going to end up being a mid-grade or a high grade? They're all high grade. The condition mystery is, are any of these 9.8 candidates? And it's really kind of a scenario of pros and cons. One of the big cons with Mile High is the fact that all of these books, they're sight unseen. I don't see scans of any of them. But because I've been almost training myself to look at scans over and over. I'm looking at all of these books. These would be books that would be listed probably anywhere from VF plus to near mint minus, and then you're looking at the scans going, I think it's better than that. And so if anything else, you can kind of relax. You don't have to have the pressure of wondering if you're going to get outbid or what should your max be. The price is there. And honestly, I think that there's just as much value to be gained from Mile High Comics. I would say more on a consistent basis, whereas sometimes with auctions, you certainly can hit that big home run, but sometimes you end up striking out more often with them as well because you missed a defect on a scan, or you went too fast, or you got emotional. And the other thing I will say too is sometimes when I'm bidding on books and I set a max bid, it's possible that that book is just available for sale somewhere for either at the max bid price or even less. And so I've done this before where I get really tied into the emotions of an auction, and I'm bidding, and then maybe I get outbid and I'm frustrated, and then I can go to Mile High Comics and like, oh, the book was there all along. That Hulk book is an example. So that will happen too. So definitely, and you don't have to necessarily go to Mile High Comics to check for availability. Obviously, eBay and other sources, but there's a lot of that too where I want to make sure that wherever I'm buying from, if I want a particular book, that this is the cheapest, but also combining the lowest price with the likelihood that it will come back in high grade. And so that's all part of my analysis, is to figure out availability, but also out of all of the places that I buy from, who over time is really giving me the best value for comics in the best condition. Let me know what you think of this order. Do you struggle with buying online, participating in auctions? Do you prefer buy it now scenarios, making offers? There's lots of different ways to buy comics, but would love to hear your story or your thoughts about this order. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.